name is Kelly, and I'm from the Management Study Guide's content team. In this course, we will talk about Pareto analysis in detail. Let's get started. Keith Sutherland is a manager in Helios, Inc. He finds that he is always loaded and pressurized with tons of workload. Despite Keith's several efforts to complete all of his tasks, he finds that he always fails at completing some of the tasks, as well as ends up missing many of his task deadlines. One day, Keith is asked to attend a training program on Pareto Analysis, which was organized by the HR as part of the learning and development program of the company. At this training program, Keith found the answer to all of his problems. Would you like to know how? Let us see what Keith learned at this training program. Keith learned that as per Pareto analysis, 80% of output is achieved from 20% of the input, such as resources of time, manpower, etc. So, Keith analyzed his daily routine that he follows and found that Pareto analysis was right. He achieved 80% of his tasks from only 20% of the actual time that he spent on working. The rest of his time was getting wasted in checking emails, attending unproductive meetings, conference calls that deviated from the set agenda, following up on the list of tasks assigned to his subordinates, etc. Therefore, practically the actual amount that he worked on his core productive tasks was just about 20%. Keith decided to improve his time management skills. He decided to check his mails only once every hour. He made sure that his meetings and conference calls stuck to the set agenda and were completed as scheduled, and he asked his subordinates to submit a status message to him at the end of the day. So, he stopped wasting his time on such unproductive tasks and concentrated his efforts on meaningful tasks. So, Keith used Pareto analysis for effective time management. However, Pareto analysis is not just about time management. Its concept and applications are widespread. Let's review the course objectives. Describe the history of Pareto analysis. Explain what is the Pareto Principle. Explain vital few and trivial many principle. List the uses of Pareto Principle. List the examples of Pareto Principle. List the applications of Pareto analysis. Explain what is Pareto analysis. Explain Pareto Charts. Explain the uses of Pareto analysis. Explain the process of Pareto analysis. Explain when to use a Pareto chart. Explain how to use Pareto charts. Explain the phases of Pareto analysis. Explain Pareto frequency diagram. Explain the steps for boosting productivity. History of Pareto analysis. A famous Italian economist, Vilfredo Pareto, found the Pareto Principle, or Pareto analysis, in 1879. Pareto based his principle on a research in which he found that 80% of Italy's wealth was held by 20% of its population. What is the Pareto Principle? The Pareto Principle states that 20% of the input, such as time, resources, and effort, accounts for 80% of the output, such as results and rewards. This means that whether it's a business or an individual, you get 80% of your results from just 20% of your time and effort. Therefore, 80% of your time is virtually wasted on non-productive activities. Once you realize that, it's easy to take. Uses of Pareto Principle. The following are some of the uses of Pareto analysis. It helps to reduce operating costs. It's used to bridge the gap between efforts and achievements. It helps to grow and develop the business. It helps to identify crucial problems. It helps you to focus on and use your core strengths. Examples of Pareto Principle. The following are a few examples of Pareto Principle. 20% of the causes results 80% of the effect. 20% of the enhancements consume 80% of maintenance costs. 20% of the tools experience 80% of the tool usage. The applications of Pareto analysis. Pareto analysis, or the 80-20 rule, has many widespread applications. Some of the applications of the 80-20 rule are in the areas of time management, maximizing productivity, achieving sales targets, critical mistake analysis, or CMA, customer relationship management, or CRM, loyalty marketing strategy, social sciences. What is Pareto analysis? Applying the Pareto principle to errors and defects helps us to understand that a disproportionately large percentage of errors or defects in any process are usually caused by relatively few problems. Pareto analysis helps to identify the most significant few errors or problems so that they can be targeted for correction or resolution. Pareto Charts. A Pareto chart is a series of bars whose heights reflect the frequency or impact of problems. The bars are arranged in descending order of height from left to right. This shows that the categories represented by the tall bars on the left are relatively more important than those on the right. Pareto charts are actually histograms aided by the 80-20 rule adapted by Joseph Juran and are used to identify and prioritize problems to be solved. When to use a Pareto chart. The following are the situations when it's useful to use a Pareto chart. Number 1, it is a good tool to use when the process you are analyzing a data that can be broken down into categories, and you can count the frequency or the number of times each category occurs. Number 2, it can also be used to identify which problem should be studied, and later on to narrow down which causes of the problem to address first. Phase 1. Identification of causes of defects. The first phase of conducting a Pareto analysis is identifying all the possible defects that result in an inferior quality. You can find all the characteristics that can be labeled as a defect by collecting data through brainstorming, focus groups, surveys, or any other method appropriate to the given business. You should aim at finding all actionable items that result in an inferior quality. Step 1. Maintain a log of your tasks for a week. Make a list of all your tasks or activities. Also, list the time that you would require to complete each task or activity. This list will help you get a true picture of your work week.